The hallway outside the ballroom smelled like lilies and bleach. I could hear the DJ inside, testing the sound system for Madison's first dance. My wine-colored dress. The one I'd bought 3 weeks ago specifically because she said the bridesmaids would be wearing navy, felt too tight around my ribs. I smoothed the fabric, adjusted the gift I'd wrapped the night before, and tried not to look at the seating chart posted on the easel near the door. But I already knew. Table 47. Outside. Next to the service entrance and the trash cans. Madison walked past me with her maid of honor, her white dress trailing across the marble floor like a spotlight. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. Her smirk said everything. That practiced, private smile she'd perfected since we were kids. The one that meant you don't matter. Guess you don't count, she said. Not to me. To her maid of honor. Loud enough that I'd hear it. Loud enough that the photographer adjusting his lens nearby would hear it too. The maid of honor laughed. My mother, standing just inside the ballroom door adjusting her pearls, said nothing. My father looked away. Something small but irreversible broke then. I tightened my grip on the gift box. Cream paper, navy ribbon, the kind of presentation Madison always demanded, and chose silence. For the first time in my life, silence didn't feel like surrender. It felt like authority. I stood up, smoothed my dress one more time and walked to the gift table inside the ballroom. The music hadn't started yet. Guests were still finding their seats, champagne glasses catching the light from the chandeliers. I placed the wrapped box carefully on top of the growing pile, turned and walked out. No tears. No explanation. Just my footsteps on marble and the quiet hum of a decision made. Madison was always the golden child. When I made honor roll in high school, my parents framed her participation certificate from volleyball. When I graduated summa cum laude, they threw her a party for getting into community college. When I bought my first apartment at 26, they co-signed Madison's car lease, her third car in 5 years. The pattern was old. Worn. Familiar. But the money, that was newer. It started small. A few $100s here and there when Madison's credit cards maxed out. $1,000 when she needed to cover rent after quitting another job. $2,000 when she wanted to throw a birthday party at an upscale restaurant because everyone does it now. I kept a folder. Not because I planned to use it. Because I'm a financial analyst and tracking spending is what I do. Every Venmo transfer. Every check. Every time my mother called and said, Madison's in a bind. You know how she is. Can you help? Just this once. Just this once turned into 47 times. $87,340. $87,340 over 6 years. Rent payments when she moved into a luxury apartment she couldn't afford. Credit card minimums when her shopping addiction spiraled. The down payment on her car. Her dental work. Her trip to Europe. Half the cost of this wedding. And every time my mother said the same thing, don't mention it to Madison. You know how sensitive she is. So I didn't. I worked late, skipped vacations, wore the same professional wardrobe for 3 years, and watched Madison post Instagram stories from Santorini, Bali, Miami. Her captions were always the same. Blessed. Living my best life. So grateful. Never once did she say my name. The venue Madison chose for her wedding cost $40,000. I know because I paid for a third of it. She told our parents she'd figured it out with her fiancé's family. My mother called me 2 months before the wedding, her voice tight with panic. The deposit's due. Madison didn't budget correctly. Can you cover it? Just until the wedding's over. We'll pay you back. I transferred $12,000 that afternoon. The invoice was in my name. The venue coordinator had my contact information. My credit card was on file as the primary payment method. But Madison never knew. Or maybe she did and it just didn't matter. 5 minutes after I left the ballroom, my phone started vibrating in my purse. I was already in my car, engine running, hands steady on the wheel. I didn't look at the screen. I knew who it was. Inside the ballroom, Madison's fiancé, Derek, had opened my gift. Not wrapped china. Not a check in a card. A folder. Inside, every bank statement. Every Venmo screenshot. Every invoice with my name on it. Every email from my mother asking for just a little help. Every text from Madison that started with, I'm desperate, and ended with, you're the best sister ever, before she stopped responding for months. And on top, Printed on clean white cardstock, a single sentence. Congratulations on your wedding. I paid for the venue. You're welcome. My phone rang 16 times in the first 10 minutes. I turned it off. I drove to my apartment, the one bedroom I'd saved for, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the river where the morning sun cut the skyline into gold and shadow. I changed out of my wine-colored dress, made tea and sat on my couch as the city lights blinked on one by one. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. The calls didn't stop. My mother left 7 voicemails. My father sent a single text, "We need to talk." Madison's were the loudest, voice messages that started with disbelief and ended with accusations. How could you humiliate me like this? At my wedding? In front of everyone? I didn't respond. Derek, Madison's fiancé, was the only one who didn't yell. His message came through the next morning. Come, Derek. Emma, it's Derek. I need to understand something. Is everything in that folder true? I texted back. Yes. All of it. 3 hours later he called. I didn't know, he said. His voice was quiet, strained. Madison told me her parents paid for the venue. He told me you were difficult, that you didn't support her. I closed my eyes. I supported her for 6 years. $87,000. She just didn't want anyone to know. The line went silent for a long moment. Then, the venue coordinator called me this morning. She said your name's on the contract. That you've been the primary contact since the deposit. That Madison never once called her directly. That's correct. Another pause. I'm sorry, Derek said. And he sounded like he meant it. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. But you should know who you're marrying. The fallout came fast. Madison called it betrayal. My mother called it cruelty. My father said I'd ruined the happiest day of Madison's life. But the guests who'd been there, the ones who saw Derek open that folder in the middle of the reception, who watched Madison's face drain of color, who heard the DJ stop the music as whispers spread like wildfire, they had questions. The venue owner was one of them. She'd been standing near the gift table when Derek opened the box. She'd recognized the invoices immediately. And when Madison tried to spin the story, tried to claim I was lying, that I was jealous, that the folder was fake, the venue owner walked to the microphone. Excuse me, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. I'm Caroline Brennan. I own this venue. And I need to clarify something. The ballroom went silent. Emma Whitman is the client on our contract. She paid the deposit. She paid the balance. Every email, every call, every decision about this event went through her. Madison Hayes, she looked directly at my sister, never once contacted me. Not once. You could have heard a pin drop. Madison's legs gave out. She dropped into her chair, her white dress suddenly looking too heavy, wrinkled. Her maid of honor grabbed her arm, but Madison shook her off. My mother stood frozen, her champagne glass trembling in her hand. My father looked at the floor. Derek turned to Madison, his expression unreadable. Is that true? Madison opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Her voice cracked. I didn't think it mattered. Emma offered. She wanted to help. I never offered, I said. I hadn't planned to come back. But when Derek called me that morning, he'd asked me to. Not for Madison. For himself. Because he needed to know the truth. I stood in the doorway of the ballroom, still in my jeans and sweater, my folder of receipts in my hand. Every eye turned to me. I never offered, I repeated. You asked. Over and over. And I said yes because I thought that's what family did. But you never said thank you. You never acknowledged it. You just kept taking. Madison's face twisted. You're doing this because you're jealous. You've always been jealous. Jealous of what? Your debt? Your 3 failed jobs? The fact that you can't support yourself. The room was so quiet I could hear the radiator tick. I'm done, Madison. I'm done pretending this is normal. I'm done funding your life while you pretend I don't exist. I turned to my parents. And I'm done with both of you. You taught her that my money doesn't count. That my work doesn't count. That I don't count. Well, congratulations. You don't get to take from me anymore. I set the folder on the nearest table and walked out. Madison's marriage lasted 6 months. Derek found out about the credit card debt 2 weeks after the wedding. The maxed out accounts Madison had hidden. The personal loans in her name. The lies that stretched back years. He filed for annulment. My parents tried to reconcile. Emails. Letters. A single awkward visit where my mother cried and my father said I'd overreacted. I listened. Nodded. And then I said very calmly, I'm not angry anymore. But I'm also not available. If you need me, hire someone. I blocked their numbers after that. Madison sent one final message 6 months later. No apology. Just, I hope you're happy now. I didn't respond. But the answer was yes. 2 years later, I live in a bigger apartment. Same city, different skyline. I got promoted. I traveled to Portugal, to Japan, to places I'd postponed because I was too busy bailing out my sister. I don't speak to my parents. I don't speak to Madison. And I'm fine with that. Because here's what I learned. Silence doesn't protect anyone. It just teaches people how small they can make you. Real love doesn't demand your piece as proof. Real love doesn't drain you. And families built on denial always collapse eventually. Sometimes the loudest revenge isn't a scream. It's the sound of your own footsteps leaving the room. If you've ever carried a burden in silence or been written out of your own story, tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And if this story resonated with you, hit subscribe. More stories are coming. Stories about finding your voice, standing your ground, and rewriting what family means.